comes to making F1 games, Codemasters have been completing the franchise since 2009, and usually if anything goes wrong with these games, the F1 community really likes to make Codemasters know. But today I thought it'd be interesting to talk about 5 things that I feel that Codemasters have done right since their original game on the Wii back in 2009. Now, I do want to make this clear, this is not entire F1 games. I think this is meant to be small features in F1 games that probably got overlooked by a lot of people when you look back at these games over the course of time. In at number 5, we have to go back and look all the way back to F1 2010, and the main feature that I felt about F1 2010 that really made a lot of people interested in the F1 series was the live the life experience. You had your own motorhome that you could live in when it came to moving around the place. You had obviously podium interviews after Grand Prix and general interviews every so often in your career mode. You also had a trophy cabinet and also a helmet area in your motorhome that, really made the live the life experience far more in F1 2010 that we haven't seen since that game. In at number 4 is F1 2016 and the sheer difficulty of the assists on this game. Now, in the background, we are having a look at some non-assist footage that I have recorded in the past, and F1 2016 was really a far more sim-style game than we have seen in the past when it comes to the F1 franchise. Driving with no ABS and no TCS has become increasingly more difficult, where a lot more people want to try and play F1 2016 far more seriously than on the previous F1 games, and it's really separated the men from the boys, if you will, and unfortunately for me, that leaves me driving with assists on this game. In at number 3 is the graphics overhaul and changes we saw between F1 2014 and F1 2015. Now, there was a lot of disappointment when Codemasters announced they wouldn't be bringing a next-gen Formula 1 game in 2014, and that basically caused the F1 2014 game to plummet. But now, unfortunately, although F1 2015 is considered quite possibly the worst F1 game we've seen by Codemasters, with no personal career mode and such a bare-bones game, I think one thing that Codemasters really did well was the graphics overhaul that we saw when it came to F1 2015. It was a huge step up from F1 2014, and it really managed to utilise the sheer amount of extra power that we saw from the next-gen consoles in the PS4 and the Xbox One. In at number 2 is the F1 2013 Classic Cars expansion. Now, originally you did get some cars free with the game, but there was also a £10 expansion, and there was a lot of people smiling when this sort of mode came out for F1 2013. It was like driving a very, very well-made mod for the game. We saw these graphical differences, obviously, the game making it look like it was a lot older, but still managing to look very, very crisp all at the same time. We also saw 18 overall cars from the 2 packs and also 4 circuits, including Brands Hatch, Monza, Jerez and Estoril. So overall, a very, very good expansion. The cars sounded absolutely brilliant as well, and they were very, very difficult to drive when it came to no assists. I think, guys, I'm also going to leave you with this Ferrari in the background just until we move on to number 1. In at number 1 though, guys, we will be looking back at the most recent installment from the F1 series, and we're going to be saying that the number 1 for this is the R&D system from F1 2016. Now, obviously we've seen the R&D upgrades be available during the older games of 2011 2012, but they weren't at any near the same sort of level as we saw from the F1 2016 game. Now, unfortunately though, this was a little bit overpowered, the fact you could bring a backmarker car right to the very front in as little as 2 seasons. But I think, it's a very, very solid stepping stone to hopefully, balance it out a bit more in the F1 2017 game. Hopefully, we'll see other features from this list, from the other games, bringing it also over to F1 2017, guys. But leave your comments down below of features that you think I missed on this list. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you are new around here as well, guys. And I will see you next time for a brand new video.
Promise that you'll catch me.